Chapter 105, Mistakes. However, when she said this question, Zhou Yinzi's brows furrowed, and he hesitated for a moment before saying, "I didn't get it." Zhang Xuning was stunned. "No." Zhou Yinzi said, "The faith is not in that person, there seems to be someone in the heavenly sect who responds. The one I caught today said was only out to find out about the situation, and he didn't dare to hand over the letter until the right time. Because of the rush of the incident, I thought that this matter must be extremely important to the second girl, so I haven't interrogated it carefully, so I will report it first. I don't know what to do next." Zhang Xuaning's eyes fell on Zhou Yinzi's body, as if he was thinking about something, and after a while, he said, "This person is still in your mansion. Take me to see it. It's a big night." Zhou Yinzi didn't expect Zhang Xuaning to be so decisive, but after thinking about it, he realized that he was a person from Jinyue after all, but he was afraid that Zhang Xuaning would not dare to trust it absolutely, and it would be more appropriate to take a look at such a big matter in person. Yes, there was no hindrance. However, the porter guarding outside Jiang's mansion was startled when he saw that his second girl was going out at night. Zhang Xuaning only told Ruo to ask at home, saying that she was accompanied by Zhou Yinzi to go out to do business. "Please don't worry about it at home, and then go out." Zhou Yinzi really didn't lie at all. And sure enough, the man was tied up in his house. It's just that Zhang Xuaning suddenly found that less than half a month has passed, Zhou Yinzi has already changed the mansion, and when he arrived in Willow Hutong, although it is still not luxurious, but the blue bricks and black tiles look much better than the original shabby courtyard. There was also a brocade guard dressed in black at the door. It seems to be Zhou Yinzi's subordinate. There is nothing to be surprised when he changes the mansion. If Zhou Yinzi doesn't make money, then it is not Zhou Yinzi that Zhang Xuaning knows, but in such a short period of time after entering Jinyue, he has developed into a trusted subordinate. This fact is not small. When entering from the door, Zhang Xuaning couldn't help but glance at the brocade guard guarding the door. Zhou Yinzi said, "It's called Wuxi, and the martial arts are very good." Zhang Xuaning nodded. That Wuxi young man looked, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, very restrained, but when Zhou Yinzi introduced him, he couldn't help but glance at Zhang Xuaning quietly, obviously curious about who was the person who could get such a courtesy from his boss. "What I didn't expect to see was a very beautiful girl." I almost looked straight in the eye in a moment of surprise. When he came back to his senses, he found that the girl in front of him looked at him with a smile that seemed to be not smiling, and the bottom of his eyes was not sharp, but he blushed inexplicably, and immediately buried his head. When Zhou Yinzi saw this scene, his brows frowned imperceptibly, and he only asked, "Are the people still there?" Wei Shi immediately reined in his mind and replied, "I haven't left half a step, I'm still inside." Zhou Yinzi then led people in. Zhang Xuaning raised her eyebrows and deliberately glanced at the young man named Wei Shi again, before she stepped forward and followed Zhou Yin in, and Wei Shi fell behind Zhang Xuaning in her heart. The people were locked up in a firewood house in the southwest corner of the house. When the door opened, it was clean. A thick hemp rope and a chain of fine iron bound the man behind a pillar, and when he entered through the doorway, he could see that he was wearing the same garment worn by the minor officials of the Ministry of Punishment. Zhang Xuaning stopped at the door and did not continue to walk inside. Zhou Yinzi walked all the way to the man. Before he could speak, the man struggled vigorously when he saw him, as if he had suffered some hardships before, and was very afraid. "I really don't know anything, and the letter is not in me. Didn't you say that I will let me go if I say it?" Zhou Yinzi looked down at him and said, "Who is the person who answered with you?" The man shuddered. "Our sect is all secret. I and a few others are secretly under the orders of Mr. Jinling Gonggai. Every day when the letter is put in Beguo Temple, naturally someone will take it, and the next day there will be a letter to reply. But I've never met those people, and there are at least 3 people who read the handwriting in reply. Lord Joe, it's useless for you to arrest me. The letter is really not on me. Zhou Yinzi looked at Zhang Swining. Zhang Swining stood close to the door, frowned, and said coldly, "You are an official of the criminal department, and you can get close to the heavenly prison, but those people want to rely on you to listen to the news secretly. Presumably they also need to rely on you to send this letter to the imperial court to know, right? That is to say, as long as you tell them that the time is ripe, they will hand over the letter to you." As soon as he heard the voice, the man got goosebumps all over his body. It was only at this time that the unlucky ghost realized that there was someone else who came back with Zhou Yin this time, and it was a girl, and the meaning of this was like the person behind Zhou Yinzi, and he was a little frightened for a while. He subconsciously looked back to see who it was. However, before he moved, Zhou Yinzi had already kicked him hard. "Is that the person you should be watching?" The man cried out in pain. Zhou Yinzi only said sharply, "The girl asked you, yes or no?" The man cried, "Yes, yes." Zhang Swining said, "That's a simple matter. You contact these people as usual in the past, and tell them that the time is ripe for the triage of the 3 divisions, and it's time to hand over the letter. Write down the letter and send it to you tonight. Don't play any tricks." The man was terrified. No, if it is known by the teaching." Zhang Swining's brows suddenly furrowed a little deeper. Zhou Yinzi glanced at her and said, "Why don't you avoid it?" With that, he pulled a rag and stuffed the man's mouth. Zhang Swining retreated as soon as she saw it. Standing under the eaves of the house outside, he heard the screams of being blocked inside, and the sharp and piercing sound of the chains hitting violently, and then stopped. It was only when the gagged rag was taken off that the man's panting pain came out. However, it seems to be much weaker than before. Zhou Yinzi only asked lightly, "Do you want to write or not?" The man didn't dare to resist anymore, and hurriedly said, Right, I'll write." Zhang Swining knew that Zhou Yinzi must have used some ruthless methods used in Jinyi Wei to force this person to comply. Wei Shi immediately went to get a pen and paper. The man shuddered and wrote down the letter. After writing it, Zhou Yinzi read it again, and then took it out for Zhang Swining to look at. Zhang Swining read it carefully several times, and didn't see anything wrong, so he handed it back to Zhou Yinzi and asked him to take this person to Beguo Temple overnight to release the letter, and wait for those people from the heavenly sect to take the bait. Zhou Yinzi called someone to ambush nearby. Zhang Swining went back that night. However, he never expected that Zhou Yinzi did catch someone the next evening, but the person he caught only had half a letter on him. Moreover, it seemed that he had expected such a bureau to be waiting for him, and the man was not flustered at all, but smiled at Zhou Yinzi. "Yesterday, Jokin who took people away, and we noticed it. After taking the letter back, I guessed that it was a bureau. But I want to tell you everything about that wretch, so I don't go around the bend in the next place. We are the secret line of the secret development of the heavenly sect, and we do not contact anyone except Mr. Gongai, but Mr. Gongai has no news now, and I am afraid that he has suffered an accident or fallen into the hands of the imperial court. According to Mr. Gongai's instructions, this letter was to be sent to the criminal department anyway, but now that this bureau has been spied on by you, I don't think it can be done. We are just from a reckless background, and we don't necessarily have to sacrifice ourselves to do this. In the world, all people seek is fame and fortune. This half of the letter can be taken back by Mr. Zhou, and as for the remaining half of the letter, it depends on Mr. Zhou, the person behind you, how much sincerity there is." Zhou Yinzi didn't expect to be countered by the army. "And this letter?" he asked. "What do you want?" The other party said coldly, 50,000 taels of silver, by the life of the Yan clan. After receiving the money, I will leave the capital and never set foot in half a step. But if not, The remaining half of the letter will appear on the desk of Xiao Yuan, the Duke of Dingguo.
星号
Xie Wei is going to enter the palace today. The piano hall had already been cleaned up, and there was no trace of blood to be seen. Gong Gai Icon's body was also gone. But Xie Wei's mood didn't seem to be half a point better, and it was even much worse than a few days ago, when he changed into that azure robe. His brows were deeply locked, and he only asked, "Haven't you found it yet?" Daikon stood behind him and shook his head. Jianshu's eyebrows were also a little solemn, and even the action of arranging his clothes became very careful, and he said in a low voice, "There are indeed some people left in the Jinling General Altar to make secret piles in Beijing, but these people only listen to the orders of the official ceremony. Now that we have controlled the Xiangtang on this side of the capital, we have interrogated the people who followed Gong Gai Cheng some time ago, and we only know that there is an order to explain it, but no one knows what it is." As he spoke, his voice became quieter. The anger in Xie Wei's eyes slowly rose, as if he was patient, and asked again, "What about Ding Fei over there?" Jianshu didn't dare to look at him more, and lowered his head and said, "After Mr. Ri ordered to go down, he looked around in Beijing, but Ding Fei Gongza never returned to Xiangtang once. Some people said that he was in the drunken music shop, and after we looked for him, the girl from Hualu conveyed that he had left a message saying that he had gone to drink for 10 years, but no one. After we looked for it. In other words, this person is also gone." Xie Wei actually laughed lowly. "Not bad, very good." The sword book and the sword and Qin all heard the sinister meaning hidden in these words, and they didn't dare to answer at all. Xie Wei's whole robe said lightly, "Continue to investigate, continue to find," and without saying anything, he went straight out of the mansion and rode to the palace in a carriage. There is a discussion going on in the South Study. Shen Lang's mood was unprecedentedly good. In addition to Wen Ziyi's pregnancy in the harem, there was also an exciting good thing in the court. As soon as Xie Yk came in, he laughed out loud. "Mr. Xie is here. The news has already been reported by Yin from Shuntian Mansion. This time there is an important person in the heavenly sect. Mr. Xie has made a great contribution." Everyone's eyes fell on Xie Wei, and there was some admiration in their eyes. Of course, there are others who are simpler. Xie Wei smiled as if he hadn't seen it, and said, "It's just that the people under his hands happened to break through their group and wait for the Xiangtang meeting, and they were a little alert, so they contacted Shuntian Mansion Yin to send people to encircle and suppress them, and shot that Gong Gai Cheng to death." Wyken knew that the news was not as fast as the saint, so he didn't dare to take credit. If Lucien heard it here, he was afraid that he would be shocked. Didn't Gong Gai Cheng kill Xie Wei himself? How come at this moment, it turned out to be the death of Shunshan Fuyin encirclement? But no one in the South Study knew the truth, only thinking that this young master Xie was originally deeply trusted by Shen Lang, and after this incident, he was afraid that he would have to go up to the next level, which was really enviable. Shen Lang was indescribably happy. He walked down with his hands in his hands, and even looked a little high-spirited, and said, "This heavenly sect vainly tried to subvert the thief's heart of our dynasty and did not die, and took advantage of the incident of the Marquis of Yanji Mansion to spread rumors and cause chaos everywhere, and this time he was actually taken down in one fell swoop in the stronghold in Beijing, and he also killed the big thief who gave advice to its leader." And all the people chimed in, saying holy wise. However, Gu Chunfang, the newly appointed Shangshu of the criminal department, had a cold face, but his brows were furrowed, and he didn't have much joy, so he only said, "It's a pity that when Shunshanfu encircled and suppressed, he didn't know the identity of this person, and he was killed by random arrows. Since this person has been by the bandit leader's side for 20 or 30 years, and he has made suggestions, he must have known that the heavenly sect has many details, and he is the most important person in this sect. If you can capture him alive and torture him, I don't know how many useful messages will come out. Suddenly the crowd became dumbfounded. Xie eyes flashed slightly, but he said as if he thought of something, "It is indeed best if you can capture it alive, but now that this person is dead, it may not be useless." Gu Chunfang's 2 eyebrows were already a little frosty. Hearing Xie Wei's words, he immediately raised his eyebrows and looked at Xie Wei. "Young Master Xie has a high opinion. Don't dare to be." Xie Wei was very polite, and when he spoke, he waved to Gu Chunfang, and then said, "Just now, Lord Gu didn't say it, and Xie didn't think about it deeply, but as soon as Lord Gu said it, Xie Mao had an idea in his heart, but maybe it was a little risky." Shen Lang was suddenly curious. "What idea?" The corners of Xie Wei's lips curled slightly, and he said, "The imperial court exterminated the heavenly sect and killed many of them, and such an important figure as Gong Gai Cheng is certainly among them, but this news is only known to the government and the imperial court. In other words, the heavenly sect did not know that Gong Gai Cheng was dead. If we release the news, we pretend that Gong Gai Cheng is not dead, but has been arrested by the imperial court and is being tortured and interrogated. According to what Lord Gu said, this person must know many secrets of the heavenly sect, and the heavenly sect is afraid that the secrets will be leaked, so he will definitely send someone to rescue them. At that time, you only need to send someone to ambush, or take a more dangerous." At this point, he paused. The crowd nodded. Even Gu Chunfang couldn't help but think about it, and then asked, "What if it's more dangerous?" Xie Wei's eyes lowered slightly, and he actually said, "In the past few days, we have also arrested a lot of heavenly sect rebels, and under repeated interrogations, we said Gong Gai Cheng. Most of these people have seen it and know what it looks like. However, it is rumored that there is another person who gave advice to the leader of the sect and bandits that day, called Dujun Mountain Man, who is deeply hidden and has never appeared in front of people. Even the people of the heavenly sect, and even some of the incense masters of the incense hall, have never seen this person. Only a very few people on the Jinling General Altar know his details. If you use Gong Gai Cheng as bait to lure the enemy to come to the rescue, but send another person to lurk in the prison with the people of the heavenly sect, pretending to be this Dujun Mountain Man, and return with the many sect members who came to save him along the way, he will definitely be able to find out many secrets in the sect, and after getting the situation of the rest of the strongholds of this sect, he will be able to wait for the opportunity to retreat, and he will have a great gain." Hearing this, the rest of the people could barely hold back the hairs on their backs, and at the same time couldn't help but secretly scream. "That's a bold plan. But the opportunities and gains hidden in the middle are really exciting." Shen Lang said, "Who should I send?" "Oh, yes. Who to send?" The former is good to use public ceremonies as bait, but the latter, if one accidentally reveals his identity, he may die in the chaos, which is too dangerous. Everyone wrinkled their brows in contemplation. Xie Wei glanced at it, waited for a while, and didn't see anyone speak, before leaning over slightly, ready to speak. However, at this moment, Gu Chunfang, who was standing not far away, actually opened his mouth and said, "If you talk about wisdom, young Master Xie's reputation has been heard of by the old minister, and it should be the first to recommend a young master to deal with such a situation. But young Master Xie is too famous, if he pretends to be the Dujinshan person of the heavenly sect, as long as it takes a lot of trouble and arouses suspicion. Lao Chen has a candidate here, and he has also studied the dossier of the heavenly sect, so he has a lot of understanding, and he may be able to use it." Xie Wei's pupils suddenly shrank slightly, and he looked at Gu Chunfang. Shen Lang asked, "Who can use it?" Gu Chunfang looked behind him, and then said, "It is the old subordinate of the old minister, and now one of the directors of the 13 Qing officials division of the criminal department, Zhang Sha." Zhang Sha stood at the end, and at this moment, everyone's eyes instantly converged on him. He lowered his eyes and didn't react much. Xie Wei looked at this person quietly, but the fingers in his sleeves were quietly tightened. Gu Chunfang said this, but it was not good for him to mention it again.